Hello, I'm Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and welcome back to my official channel.
Hey everyone, I'm Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and welcome back to my official channel. Grab a coffee or maybe something stronger because we need to talk. And I mean really talk. I have been staring at my laptop screen for hours. My coffee is completely cold. My brain is absolutely fried from trying to piece together this massive puzzle on the bold and the beautiful. So I am just going to start typing. I am not going to edit this. I am not going to worry about making it sound perfect or polished because honestly, the situation happening right now at Forrester Creations is just raw and messy, and it demands a raw and messy breakdown. So let's get right into it. Daphne Rose. What on earth is going on with Daphne Rose? We need to talk about her and this massive, suffocating secret she is keeping for Ivy Forrester because it makes zero sense on the surface, none at all. Daphne was sworn to secrecy by Ivy. Ivy straight up asked her not to tell anyone that she was the one who stole Electra's heartfelt letter and that she was the one who manipulated the entire breakup between Electra and Will Spencer. And Daphne just agreed. She just stood there and agreed to keep her mouth shut. But why? Look, we all know Ivy didn't blackmail Daphne, not in the traditional sense anyway, not like she did with Melissa Dillon. With Dillon, Ivy had real leverage. She held Dillon's job over her head. She basically threatened her with homelessness and financial ruin if she breathed a word about the stolen letter and the broken necklace on the desk. Dillon is fighting for her survival. Dillon is terrified of losing her paycheck and being out on the streets again. So Dillon keeping quiet, that tracks. That makes logical sense in the soap opera world. But Daphne is married to Carter Walton. Daphne is the head perfumer. She has a stable life. She has money. She has a husband who adores her. So this has some viewers, and honestly, me too, wondering if she has absolutely anything to lose by exposing Ivy's dirty little secret. Because here's the thing. Daphne is a fierce supporter of Will and Electra's relationship. She has been from the start. She can sense their love. She knows it is real. She knows that a love like that hasn't just died overnight. She knows that Will and Electra belong together. Yet, Ivy swore her to secrecy and Daphne just folded. Ivy doesn't want her niece to end up with a Spencer man. We all know the history there. The Forresters and the Spencers have been at war for decades. Ivy wants Electra with RJ Forrester. She thinks RJ is the safe, reliable Forrester choice, but Daphne knows better. So why is she letting Ivy dictate her morals? And then there is Carter, sweet, handsome, principled Carter Walton. Carter actually warned Daphne not to meddle in other people's business at the office. He literally told his wife to stay out of it. He made it very clear that he's not going to get involved with the young drama that's been brewing between Will, Electra, RJ, and Dillon. He wants peace. He suggested to his wife that she should do the same. He wants them to focus on their marriage. He wants them to focus on making a baby. And we know that fertility app of Daphne's is going off. They are trying to build a family. So Carter is looking at the big picture, but Daphne is just eaten alive by guilt. She feels guilty about not doing the right thing. She paces around the design room. She broods in the bedroom. She knows she is letting two young kids throw away their soulmate connection just because Ivy is playing puppet master. So we have to ask the big question, what is Ivy really holding over Daphne's head? Because it has to be something. Nobody just keeps a secret that destroys lives for absolutely no reason, especially someone as empathetic as Daphne. There has to be a hook. And my journalist brain is spinning with theories right now. Theory number one, and this is a big one. Ivy might know that Steffi Forrester Finnegan brought Daphne to Forrester Creations specifically to break up Hope Logan and Carter Walton. Think about it. Steffi hates Hope. Steffi has always wanted to stick it to the Logans. Carter and Hope were getting close, maybe too close for Steffi's comfort. So what if Steffi scouted Daphne, brought her all the way from Paris, and orchestrated this entire romance with Carter just to keep him away from Hope? If that is true, that is a massive, explosive secret. And secrets do occasionally get found out in Los Angeles. It is the soap opera capital of the world. Nothing stays buried forever. That's one secret that's been buried for a while now. But if Ivy knows about it, oh boy. If Ivy knows that Daphne's entire presence at Forrester Creations was a calculated move by the co-CEO to manipulate Carter's love life, that is nuclear blackmail material. If Carter found out that his new wife, the woman he is actively trying to have a baby with, was brought to town as a pawn in Steffi's endless war against hope, it would destroy him. Carter hates being used. He has been used by women before. He has been burned. If he finds out Daphne's arrival was a setup, their marriage might not survive the fallout. So if Ivy is sitting on that piece of information, she doesn't even need to say it out loud. She just has to look at Daphne with that smug Ivy smile, and Daphne knows she has to stay quiet about Will and Elektra. It is mutually assured destruction. But wait, there is another theory. And honestly, this one might make even more sense given Ivy's own personal history. There's also the very real possibility that Ivy found out that Daphne needs a visa. Think about how fast Daphne and Carter got married. It was a whirlwind. It was sudden. And now they are rushing to start baby making as soon as possible. Why the rush? Why the sudden desperation to lock down a life in Los Angeles with an American citizen? Is Daphne's immigration status in jeopardy? Is she facing deportation back to France? If you are a longtime viewer, your alarm bells should be ringing right now, because Ivy Forrester went through something incredibly similar back in 2015. Do you guys remember that? I remember it like it was yesterday. It was one of the craziest storylines. Ivy almost faced deportation after she incorrectly filed her immigration paperwork. It was a massive mess. She was terrified of leaving Los Angeles. She was terrified of losing her life at Forrester Creations. This desperate situation led to Liam Spencer marrying her in a quickie ceremony just so she could remain in the United States. Liam stepped up to be the hero. He married her to save her visa. But of course, because it is the bold and the beautiful, it didn't end happily ever after. Their marriage of convenience ended in an explosive disaster after Liam discovered that Ivy actually had dual citizenship all along. She had Australian and American citizenship. She lied to him. She manipulated him. She used the threat of deportation to trap Liam in a marriage because she was in love with him and wanted to keep him away from Steffi. It was peak soap manipulation. So let's connect the dots here. Ivy knows all about visa scams. She knows all about immigration panic. She literally wrote the playbook on using marriage to secure citizenship in Los Angeles. If Daphne is secretly struggling with her visa, and if her marriage to Carter was pushed forward to secure her green card, Ivy would spot that from a mile away. It takes one to know one. Ivy could be holding this over Daphne. She could be threatening to expose Daphne's visa issues to Carter or to the authorities, and that would explain why Daphne is completely paralyzed. She can't tell Will and Elektra the truth, because if she does, Ivy blows up her visa, her marriage, and her entire life in America. But here is the frustrating part. What will Daphne do next? Because right now, on screen, it just looks like Ivy hasn't blackmailed Daphne. We haven't seen a scene where Ivy explicitly threatens her with the Steffi plot or the visa plot. On screen, she only told her not to tell anyone, just a simple keep your mouth shut between colleagues. And if that is really all it is, then Ivy doesn't owe her anything. There's no affiliation between them. There's no reason Daphne shouldn't have just marched right up to Elektra in the showroom and told her exactly what happened with that letter. But instead, Daphne just keeps arguing with Ivy about the matter. She pulls her into the design room. She whispers furiously. She reminds Ivy that Will and Elektra love each other. She acts like she is taking a moral stand, but she never actually takes the action. Why is she listening to Ivy's orders? It is maddening to watch as a viewer. You just want to reach through the screen and shake her. Tell the truth. Save these kids. Let's compare this to another massive secret in B&B history. Let's talk about the Baby Beth storyline, because that is the gold standard for how a secret is kept by multiple people for months on end. With the Baby Beth storyline, every single person who knew the truth had their own desperate, selfish reasons to keep quiet. It made sense why they didn't speak up. Think about Thomas Forrester. Thomas found out that Beth was alive and that Hope was grieving a child that was actually living in Steffi's house as baby Kelly's adopted sister, Phoebe. Thomas could have ended Hope's suffering in 1 second, but he didn't. Why? Because Thomas wanted Hope for himself. He knew that if Hope got her baby back with Liam, they would reunite, and his chances with Hope would be zero. So his motive was pure, selfish obsession. He kept the secret to manipulate Hope into marrying him. Then you had Zoe Buckingham. Zoe found out what her father, Dr. Reese Buckingham, had done. She was horrified, but she kept quiet. Why? To protect her father from going to federal prison for kidnapping and human trafficking, and also to protect her own cushy modeling career at Forrester Creations. She didn't want the scandal to ruin her life. Her motive was self-preservation and family loyalty. And Flo Fulton, oh, Flo, she posed as the birth mother. She took the money. She knew the baby belonged to Hope, but Flo kept quiet to avoid jail time for her role in the illegal adoption. And she also wanted to keep her shiny new life with the Logan family and her renewed romance with Wyatt Spencer. Every time she tried to tell the truth, Thomas or Zoe would threaten her, or her own fear of prison would silence her. Even Xander Avant knew the truth and struggled with it, but Zoe manipulated him into staying quiet. Everyone in that storyline had massive, life-altering stakes. They all had something huge to lose if the truth came out. Now look back at Daphne. Daphne found out Ivy's secret by simply watching it happen. And on the surface, there is absolutely nothing at stake for her. She isn't in love with Will. She isn't protecting her father from prison. She isn't trying to steal someone's husband. So could she end up telling Will and Elektra what really happened? She has to, right? Eventually, the guilt is going to crush her, but the clock is ticking, and it is ticking fast. Because while Daphne is pacing around the design room, wringing her hands, lives are being ruined. Elektra is spiraling. Elektra is so hurt and so broken by Will's supposed abandonment that she is lashing out at everyone. She is screaming at Dylan in the showroom. She is demanding that Steffi fire Dylan. Elektra is acting completely unhinged because her heart is broken. And Ivy is just standing there watching the chaos and quietly pushing Elektra right into the arms of RJ Forrester. And it is working. That is the tragedy of it all. Ivy's plan is actually working perfectly. RJ invited Elektra to a private dinner at the Forrester mansion. They had a moonlight swim in the pool. They shared a sizzling romantic moment. They took selfies together. Elektra is vulnerable and RJ is right there, being the sweet, supportive guy. And of course, those selfies ended up on social media because everything ends up on social media. And who saw those posts? Will Spencer. Will, who is sitting there in emotional limbo. Will, who doesn't understand why Elektra won't just talk to him. Will, who never got the heartfelt letter because Ivy stole it. Will, who thinks Elektra threw his necklace back at him because Ivy planted it on her desk. Will sees these photos of the love of his life swimming with RJ Forrester, looking happy and moving on, and it breaks him. It is the final nail in the coffin. So what does Will do? He turns to the only person who is showing him affection right now, Melissa Dillon. Dillon, who is also keeping Ivy's secret, but for entirely different reasons. Dillon, who is terrified of losing her job, but who also really, really wants Will. Will decides that he has to put Elektra behind him for good. He tells Dillon he wants to see where things can go between them. And the spoilers are hinting heavily that Will and Dillon are heading straight for the bedroom. They're going to share a passionate encounter, And once Will sleeps with Dylan, it is over. There is no coming back from that for Elektra. Even if the truth about the letter comes out later, the damage will be done. Elektra will never forgive Will for sleeping with Dylan. The betrayal will be permanent. Ivy's manipulation will have permanently altered the course of these 4 lives, and it all rests on Daphne's shoulders. Daphne is the only one who can stop this train from crashing. Dylan isn't going to do it. Dylan has too much to lose and too much to gain by staying quiet. But Daphne is a grown woman. She is a professional. She is Carter Walton's wife. She needs to put on her big girl pants and march into that showroom and blow this whole thing wide open. But then we go back to Carter's warning. Carter told her to stay out of it. Carter wants them to focus on their own future. We are seeing these scenes where Daphne and Carter are in the bedroom. The candles are lit. The mood is romantic. They are trying to conceive a child. Carter is looking at her with so much love and hope, but he is a smart man. He is a lawyer. He can read people. Carter senses that Daphne is bottling something up. He can see the tension in her shoulders. He can see the distraction in her eyes. What happens when Carter pushes her? Because he will. Carter is not the type of husband to just let his wife suffer in silence. He is going to ask her what is wrong. And Daphne is going to break. I can feel it. She is going to break down in tears and confess everything. She is going to tell Carter that Ivy stole the letter. She is going to tell him that Ivy is manipulating these poor kids. And how is Carter going to react? Will he stick to his original advice and tell her to keep quiet and stay out of it? Or will his strong moral compass kick in? Carter is a man of the law. He is a man of ethics. When he realizes just how sinister Ivy's actions are, he might change his tune. He might insist that Will and Elektra deserve the truth. He might be the one to drag Daphne down to the showroom to confess. But again, what if Ivy fights back? What if Ivy drops the bomb about the visa? Or the bomb about Steffi hiring Daphne to break up Carter and Hope? If Daphne confesses to Carter, she risks Ivy detonating her entire life. It is a terrifying game of chess, and Steffi Forrester is currently 3 moves ahead of everyone else. Ivy is playing this brilliantly, honestly, evil but brilliant. She didn't leave a paper trail. She didn't send threatening text messages. She just quietly snatched a piece of paper, moved a necklace, and dropped a few poisoned words in the right ears. She is relying on human nature to do the rest. She is relying on Elektra's pride and Will's insecurity, and she is relying on Daphne's fear. It is just so frustrating as a viewer because you see the car crash happening in slow motion. You see Will and Dylan getting closer. You see RJ and Elektra swimming in the moonlight. You see Ivy smirking in the background. And you just want Daphne to scream the truth at the top of her lungs. And let's talk a little more about Ivy for a second. The absolute hypocrisy of Steffi Forrester. She sits there in her designer clothes, judging Will Spencer, judging the Logan family, acting like she is the moral authority of Los Angeles. But we all remember 2015. We all remember her forcing Liam into a marriage under false pretenses. We remember her lying about her dual citizenship. We remember her blackmailing Steffi with that video of Allie's death. Ivy has a dark, manipulative streak that runs deep. She is not some innocent bystander. She is a calculated schemer. And she is using all of her past experience to ruin her own niece's happiness just because she has a vendetta against the Spencer name. It is tragic for Elektra. Elektra has no idea that her own flesh and blood, her aunt, who she trusts more than anyone, is the architect of her misery. Elektra thinks Will abandoned her. She thinks Will chose Dylan over her. She has no idea that Will is just as heartbroken and confused as she is. Ivy is supposed to be family. Ivy is supposed to protect her. Instead, Ivy is playing God with her heart. And poor Will. Will is just a pawn in this. He is trying to do the right thing. He tried to get her back. But when you find your broken necklace on the desk of the girl you love, what are you supposed to think? You think it's over. You think she hates you. So he is moving on. He is a young guy. He is hurt, and Dylan is right there. It is a recipe for disaster. So what is the end game here? How does this resolve? In my opinion, Daphne has to be the catalyst. There is no other way. Dylan is too scared. Will and Electra are too blind. Ivy is too arrogant. Daphne is the wild card. I think we are going to see a massive confrontation. I think the guilt is going to cause Daphne to make a mistake. Maybe she blurts it out to Carter. Maybe she leaves a note. Or maybe, just maybe, she finds her courage. Maybe she realizes that no matter what Ivy is holding over her, whether it's a visa issue or the Steffi setup, that living with the guilt of destroying true love is worse than facing the consequences. I want to see Daphne march into the CEO office. I want to see her stand in front of Steffi, Ivy, Electra, and Will and just let it all out. I want her to point a finger right at Steffi Forrester and expose her for the manipulative snake she is being right now. I want Carter standing right behind his wife, supporting her, proving that their marriage is stronger than any secret Ivy could threaten them with. But this is the bold and the beautiful. Happy endings are rare and they take a long time to earn. Before we get to that truth bomb, I have a terrible feeling we are going to have to watch Will and Dylan cross that line. We are going to have to watch Electra give her heart to RJ. The knot is going to get so tangled that when the truth finally does come out, it might be too late to fix anything. And that is what keeps us watching, right? The agonizing drama of it all, the secrets, the lies, the eavesdropping in the design room, the stolen letters. It is classic B&B. I just can't stop thinking about the visa theory, though. It fits so perfectly. It is such a brilliant callback to B&B history. If the writers actually go that route and reveal that Daphne is in the country illegally or that her paperwork is fraudulent and that Ivy figured it out because of her own past, that would be Emmy-worthy writing. It ties the past to the present. It gives Daphne a legitimate, terrifying reason to keep quiet. It elevates this from a simple office squabble to a high-stakes legal drama. And if it's the Steffi theory, if Steffi really did hire Daphne just to ruin Hope's chances with Carter, that blows up the entire executive team at Forrester Creations. That reignites the Logan versus Forrester war on a nuclear level. Brooke would absolutely lose her mind if she found out Steffi weaponized a new employee against her daughter. The ripple effects would be insane. Either way, Daphne is sitting on a powder keg and Ivy is standing there with the match smiling. I am exhausted just thinking about it. My fingers hurt from typing all of this out, but I had to get it off my chest. The fans are going crazy on Twitter and the message boards. Everyone is screaming at Daphne to speak up. We are all united in our frustration. We will just have to tune in next week to see if Carter can pry the truth out of his wife or if Will and Dylan seal their fate in the bedroom, leaving Electra and RJ to start a brand new Forrester romance built entirely on a foundation of Ivy's lies. It is going to be a bumpy ride, folks. Keep your eyes on Daphne Rose. She is the key to unlocking this entire mess. All right, I am going to finally drink this cold coffee and try to get some sleep. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you buy the visa theory? Do you think Steffi is involved?